Levitt. Welcome into our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score here today, the Padres 6 and the Cardinals 1 as the Padres avoid a 3-game sweep in St. Louis. They take this series finale. They even up their record on this 9-game road trip to 3-3, and now they'll enjoy an off day tomorrow and head on to Arlington, Texas, where they begin a 3-game series on Friday. A lot to do on our post-game coverage. We'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen coming up in a little bit. We'll also have all the radio highlights for you and much more. As always, our post-game coverage brought to you by Jamul Casino Resort. Hey player, with a top 100 spa, an epic rooftop pool, and Lux Hotel Suites. Jamul Casino Resort is the mini vacay you need, the player's place. Well, you have to be much happier with what the Padres did today when you consider how things looked in the first 2 games of this series. The Padres tying a season high with 14 hits. They did a lot of good things in this game offensively early in the middle innings and certainly in the late innings as well. They had a lot of opportunities with runners in scoring position. They came through in plenty of them, 4 for 14 with runners in scoring position to ultimately win this game. The pitching was really good, and this was, a much needed complete team win. Offense was really good. Starting pitching was really good. Bullpen was really good. Really every facet today from a Padres standpoint, really impressive. And you felt like they needed a game like this, right? With the way things had been going the last couple of days, especially offensively. And they got contributions up and down the lineup. Fernando Tatis Jr. had a nice day, 3 hits, including a double and a couple of RBIs. Mod Taylor, another hit, 2 runs scored. Jackson Merrill had 3 hits in this game. Manny a hit, Sheets a hit, Bogarts 2 hits. I should mention Merrill hit a home run. Rodolfo Duran had a double in this game. So up and down the lineup, they got contributions. Again, 14 hits total, and did a nice job in this game. Griffin Canning coming in after the opener, did a good job. 4 innings and a third, 77 pitches, gave up the lone run the Cardinals scored today. And again, you just feel like it was a much needed good win, good team win where everything sort of went right. You took a lead, you protected it. You knew that you would have a short bullpen today with no Ron Marinaccio, who started serving his 2-game suspension today. You were without Mason Miller during this series. So all in all, a good ending to this 3-game series in St. Louis. And now, in the big picture of this road trip, you have an opportunity to make it a winning road trip by winning the series in Texas. You don't need a sweep. All you got to do is win 2 out of 3, and you will have had a winning road trip, which, you know what, with the way things been going, is not a small feat. And hopefully the Padres can win that series against the Rangers, have a winning road trip, and sort of gear up for what's going to be a pretty tough schedule heading towards the All-Star break. But here today, they got what felt like a much-needed win. If the Padres had not won today, if they had not, woken up a little bit offensively today, I think you would have been feeling pretty rough about what just happened in St. Louis. So, you heard Craig Stammen say earlier today, this felt like a big game. I agree with him. Not that you want to make too much out of a game against the Cardinals in St. Louis on June 17th. But with the way things looked the first 2 games of this series, you wanted a better showing, a better performance today, and the Padres certainly got that really in every facet. When we come back, we'll get to the radio highlights. Again, we'll hear from Craig Stammen coming up a little bit later. Take your phone calls as well at 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Phone number to call if you want to get involved on our post-game coverage. Padres win it 6-1 as they take the series finale in St. Louis on the Padres Radio Network. Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score here today, the Padres 6 and the Cardinals 1. Padres taking this series finale in St. Louis. We'll head back to Busch Stadium in the Lou. Hear from Craig Stammen coming up a little bit later as I take you towards the top of the hour here on 97.3 The Fan. We'll flip things over to today's edition of Gwen and Chris right around the top of the hour, probably a little bit after that. They'll take you the rest of the way until 6 p.m. And then I would assume we have a Scraby show, the award-winning Scraby show, until 7 p.m. If Matt Scraby, if you're listening, he may be listening right now. Let me know. Are you doing the Scraby show today until 7 p.m.? And if you're not, I want to know why. I want to know why you're not doing the Scraby show, what you're doing that you can't do the Scraby show. So we'll update the listeners on the 6 to 7 p.m. hour. There it is, actually. Got a text. Let's see. Is Matt Scraby doing the Scraby show? He is. He says, of course I am. Good. That's good. Good he's doing the Scraby show, because I would say, well, what are you doing? You can't do the Scraby show on a Wednesday. Give the fans what they want, and what they want is more Matt Scraby. All right. Back to the baseball. Series finale. Obviously not a very good couple of days for the Padres in St. Louis. Offensively, the first two games of this series, 2 runs on 5 hits total, and unsurprisingly, the Padres lost both games. When you're producing 2 runs on 5 hits in a 2-game span, for the most part in Major League Baseball, that's just not gonna work. Could the Padres make it a much more productive offensive day today? Let's rewind this one.
Which moments determine the outcome of today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game highlights on the Padres Radio Network.
Right-hander Kyle Leahy on the mound for the Cardinals on this Wednesday afternoon. Top of the first inning, Samad Taylor drew a 1-out walk. Jackson Merrill singled to send Taylor to third base. Manny Machado drove Taylor in with a sac fly. Padres had an early 1-0 lead, manufacturing a run. Padres using an opener today. Bradley Rodriguez pitched the scoreless first inning. Third time this season he's been an opener, and the third time this season that he's come through with a scoreless opening frame. Griffin Canning came on after that. He pitched 2 scoreless innings to begin his day. Padres still had a 1-0 lead going to the 4th inning. Manny Machado hit a leadoff double. Later in the inning, it was Xander Bogaerts.
The 0-1 pitch, and Xander hits it on the ground through the right side and a base hit. Machado's at third being waved. Walker comes up with it. His throw will be cut, and an RBI single for Xander Bogaerts has put the Padres ahead 2-0.
Padres still led 2-0 going to the 5th inning. Will Wagner led off the inning with a single. He went to second on a wild pitch. Fernando Tatis Jr. at the plate.
Runner on second, 1 away for Tatis. Padres lead 2-0. Fernando lines one out to center field and over the head of Church, who came in just couldn't make the play. Wagner going to score. Fernando racing into second. An RBI double on a misread liner to center, and the Padre lead is 3-0.
So things going the Padres' way. They led 3-0 heading bottom 5. Canning for the first time got in trouble. He issued a leadoff walk, then a single. The Cardinals had runners on second and third with 1 out. Ivan Herrera hit a ground ball to first base. Ty France did a good job. He came home with it. He got the out at home. There were runners still on first and third. 2 men away. Alec Burleson dug in.
Runners lead at first and third. The pitch is muscled on a line into right field. That'll dump down and a base hit. Church comes in to score. Herrera will stop at second. The Cardinals are on the board thanks to an RBI single by Alec Burleson, and it's 3-1.
Cardinals still had 2 on base. Canning did a good job. He got a ground ball to end the inning. Padres were still up 3-1 after 5 innings. Canning would pitch into the 6th. He would go 4 innings and a third, allow 1 run on 77 pitches today. Kyle Hart finishing the bottom of the 6th inning. He pitched a 1-2-3 7th. Jason Adam pitching a scoreless 8th inning. So Padres had a 3-1 lead going to the 9th inning. They were looking for insurance. Sung Moon Song led off against Chris Roycroft, the Cardinals right-hander. He led off with a single. He was still on base for Fernando Tatis Jr.
Here's the 1-1. Fernando in the air to right field. That'll chase Walker back towards the corner. Going to be over his head. Bangs off the wall. Song in to score. Fernando racing into second. He slides the tag. He's out at second base. And now the Padres have to wait and see if they want to challenge.
San Diego's challenging our call at second base. After review, the call stands. The runner's out. San Diego loses the challenge.
All right, so Tatis was thrown out at second base, but he did drive in a run. That made it a 4-1 Padre lead. Padres weren't done. Samad Taylor singled. That brought up Jackson Merrill.
1-2. Merrill swings, hits it in the air, deep down the right field line, trying to keep it fair towards the pole. This one, gonna go! 2-run homer, Jackson Merrill. First home run of this series from anybody. And a 2-run exclamation point for Merrill here in the ninth inning. The Padre lead is 6-1. The Cardinals may ask for a crew chief review on whether that was actually fair or foul.
This will be a crew chief review of a home run call. After the crew chief review call stands, it's a home run.
So that call stood as well. Second challenge of the inning. Jackson Merrill, the 2-run shot, just snuck it inside that right field foul pole. His 8th home run of the season gave the Padres a 6-1 lead. Adrian Morejon came in, finished the game with a scoreless ninth inning, worked around a leadoff single, and that was that in this one. Final score, Padres 6 and the Cardinals 1. Padres will leave St. Louis a record of 38-35. The Cardinals dropped to 40-32. 6 runs, 14 hits, no errors for San Diego. 1 run, 6 hits, 1 error for the Cardinals. Again, the Padres tying a season high with 14 hits. Griffin Canning getting his first win as a San Diego Padre with a really solid outing today. 4 innings and a third, 1 run given up as the bulk innings guy. And Kyle Leahy took the loss for St. Louis. Not like Leahy was bad in this game. 6 innings, 3 runs given up. A quality start by definition, but the Padres got to him early. Added on in the middle innings. They added on against Roycroft in the St. Louis bullpen late, and they come away with a 6-1 win to even up their record on this road trip so far to 3-3. And now it's on to Texas for a 3-game series against the Rangers beginning on Friday. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. Much more to do as the Padres beat the Cardinals on this Wednesday afternoon by a final score of 6-1. Our postgame coverage continues after this. Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score here today, Padres 6 and the Cardinals 1. A much-needed, nice, sort of clean, easy-ish win for the Padres today. Really a game where everything went their way. Kind of felt like they needed one of those with the way the last two games have gone in St. Louis. They scored 6 runs. They scored early. They scored in the middle innings. They scored late to tack on. They tied a season high with 14 hits. They got a little power late from Jackson Merrill. Pitching side of things, Bradley Rodriguez did his job with the scoreless inning as an opener. Griffin Canning, 4 innings in the third, 1 run given up as a bulk innings guy. Far better outing than he had on Friday in Baltimore. And then you had Hart inning and 2/3 scoreless, Adam a scoreless inning, Morahona scoreless innings. So the bullpen doing what they've typically done, and good defense by the Padres today as well. So all facets today, really, pitching, offense, defense. You felt like they needed a game like this, and they certainly got it as they take the series finale in St. Louis. They even up their record on this road trip to 3-3, and it is now on to the third leg of this 9-game trip as they'll take on the Rangers beginning on Friday. Now an opportunity to make it a winning road trip. Look, we all would have loved the Padres to go 8-1, 7-2 on this trip, right? Against, the Cardinals are 8 games above 500 after today. But, two teams in the Orioles and the Rangers that have certainly not had great seasons to this point. But I do think right now with the way things have gone for the Padres the last month or so, hey, you're just looking for winning homestands and road trips right now. I think at this point in the season in June, you're looking for winning homestands, you're looking for winning road trips, get things pointed back in the right direction. And now you can sort of do that if you go win the series in Texas. And hey, if you find a way to sweep it, then you turn this into a really, really good road trip. So we're a long way from all that. But today felt like a game that was important for the Padres. And Craig Stammen said as much before the game today. Felt like a game that was important today. And you didn't want to get swept, especially with how the first couple of days in St. Louis went. And hopefully the start of a sign of things to come for the Padres with the way they played today. And again, I think one thing you got to think about right now is the schedule's going to get tough. It's going to get really tough. The Padres play the Dodgers and the Braves and the Cubs coming up a lot over the course of the next couple of weeks, basically into July 4th. So, it's important that you take care of business against some of these quote-unquote lesser teams right now, at least by their records here in June, and to kind of gear up for what's going to be a tough schedule coming up really after this weekend. So all in all, Padres will end today 38-35, a nice win in St. Louis. With all that in mind, let's go back to Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Here's some post-game reaction from Padres manager Craig Stammen.
Let's pull up a seat in a manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
What were your thoughts you watched your offense today? Guys on base all day.
Yeah, guys on base all day is nice after the first 2 games here. But I think we've been trending in the right direction. The first 2 days made us doubt that a little bit, but I think those guys showed that they're starting to get back on track. A few balls fall in, creates a little bit of confidence, a little bit of good feeling, and then we can take the rest from there.
At bat by Simon first. Is that what you were thinking when you moved him up?
Yeah, that's what you're hoping. The guy that's been swinging it well, seeing pitches well, creating a little bit of havoc. Mix up the big boys a little bit, see if they can get somebody on in front of them that's got some speed, and then figure out a way to score a run. He did that for us.
How much does scoring early also take the pressure up a little bit and get you all pointed in the right direction in the first inning?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Whoever scores first has definitely got an advantage. And, we've struggled a lot in the first inning this year. And to get a run in the first feels really good in the dugout, especially this series. The first 2 games took us a while to even get a base runner. So to get a base runner and then put a run across the board, definitely help morale and it gives some confidence to swing the bat freely the rest of the game.
Speaking of how Danny responded today.
Yeah, he did great. After a couple tough outings that he's had, he bounced back and threw the ball really well against a pretty tough lineup. And, he hung in there even with some traffic there. I think it was the 5th inning. And then his job got out.
You hung in there with him. With Yuki ready and Burleson coming up, what was your kind of thought there?
Yeah, a little bit. I was probably more, Ruben kind of talked me into letting him go, giving him some confidence in that. And I think it's definitely the right decision, even though Burleson got hit. He has executed his pitches. Pitch that Alec hit was a really good pitch, up and in heater, and he executed it. He got a jam shot signal. As a pitcher, if you're pitching 4, 5, 6 innings, that's going to happen. So I think being able to stick with him there in a 3-0 game, hopefully that brings confidence in him and shows that we have confidence in him and that not just captain up in him every time.
When we get Velasquez to the plate as a tie run, a guy whose whole job is to hit lefties with kickoff, but Kyle gets how much that changed that inning and also changed the game a little bit too and stabilize it.
Yeah, definitely huge. I think bringing Kyle in, he brings that element. When a guy's on first as a base stealer, he has the ability to control the running game really well. He's reading that runner. That runner takes off. He can make his pickoff move, and that's a huge play in the game. And Velasquez definitely a tough at bat for a lefty, but Kyle, the way he's thrown the last 2 days, has been pretty amazing. So felt good with him on the mound there.
That way, went with Kyle in that situation, like I'm going to go to kickoff.
I mean, there's a part of that is like, he's better at it than the other lefty. And you're not hoping somebody's on base when he's doing it, but he does bring that element into the game. I can't say I'm smart enough to be like, yeah, that's why. The main thing is we felt it was a good matchup for the lefties coming up and then the guys that they were going to pitch in for.
But also in a spot too where you would have Matsui at the top, to go back to him later.
Yeah, definitely. We could, we felt that, if it didn't go so well for Kyle, we had other guys that we could go through at the top of the lineup to hopefully shut the inning down.
He's swinging high back for you.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's 3 more hits today. Starting to see some swings that we're accustomed to. Burning the center fielder with a.
All right, that was Padres manager Craig Stammen earlier inside the Padres clubhouse. I know the music was loud there, so we cut it off a little bit early there for you. Loud music. I don't know what was going on today with the music, but Padres win it by a final score of 6-1. Hopefully you can make out what was being said there for the most part. Obviously, really nice win for the Padres as they beat the St. Louis Cardinals by a final score of 6-1. Again, a game that saw the Padres do everything really nicely, even in and you heard Craig talk about it there a little bit. 5th inning, 6th inning, things got a little bit dicey, but found a way to get out of those jams and sort of limit the damage too when the Cardinals had base traffic on today. Padres win it. Series finale. We'll step aside, come back with more after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score here today, Padres win it 6-1 over the St. Louis Cardinals today as they take the series finale. Padres will continue their road trip with the series in Arlington, Texas against the Rangers beginning on Friday. We continue to break this one down. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up in just a little while, so stay tuned for that if you want to get a phone call in. Before we head out of here today, flip things over to today's edition of Gwynn and Chris. You can do that by calling 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973, the phone number to call if you want to get involved, talk about today's game, this series, this road trip. Bullpen did a nice job in this game, really did. And I think considering the circumstances of the bullpen today and in this series, really a good job in what was a close game. The score, the final score was not really indicative of the kind of game this was. It was tight, really, until the end. Let's tell you about our relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher entered the game and slammed the door shut? This is today's relief pitcher of the game, brought to you by San Diego criminal defense attorney David P. Shapiro. We help good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime. Learn more at davidpshapirolaw.com.
The 0-1 from Hart. Swung on, grounded to second base. Song collects it. He's got it. Throw to first in time. And for the first time since the 7th inning on Monday, the Cardinals go 1-2-3. Kyle Hart gets it done again.
Yeah, Kyle Hart, our relief pitcher of the game. I think it's a pretty easy choice today. Hart did a really good job coming in the 6th inning, able to finish that inning in the 6th, and then puts together a 1-2-3 7th inning. So really nice job from Kyle Hart, who was recalled from AAA El Paso before this series began. He faces 5 batters in this game, gets 2 outs in the 6th, 3 outs in the 7th. He was really, really good, Kyle Hart, in this game. So 5 outs in this game for Kyle Hart, and he is today's relief pitcher of the game. Jason Adams scoreless 8th inning. Adrian Morejon a scoreless 9th inning as well. So really nice job by everybody in that bullpen, and that, not technically, but also includes Bradley Rodriguez, who opened this game and pitched the scoreless inning to sort of set the tone early as the opener. So a good job by the bullpen. And again, we talked about it pregame, and Jesse and Tony alluded to it as well. Padres were a man short in the bullpen today. No Ron Marinaccio. It'll be that way on Friday at Texas as well because of his 2-game suspension beginning today. Remember, he was suspended for hitting Gunnar Henderson over the weekend. He was suspended 3 games. That got reduced to 2, we found out earlier today, and he began serving that suspension today. So they were short in the bullpen. They're also without Mason Miller right now. We'll see if Mason is back on Friday, but Miller on the bereavement/family medical leave list for this series. We found out before it started. So Kyle Hart was up, and they were a man short in the bullpen because of the suspension. So you were without Miller. You were a man short, and the bullpen did a good job, not just today, but in this series as a whole, despite the Padres losing 2 out of 3. Really nice job today. Let's tell you about the Padres' heart of the order.
Let's take the pulse of the Padres and check in on the heart of the order. Presented by Palomar Health, the official healthcare provider of 97.3 The Fan. Palomar Health, leading with heart for every patient. Palomar Health is reimagining healthcare.
Part of the order here today, 3, 4, 5 spots. Merrill, Machado, and Sheets. Much better today than the first 2 games of this series. Jackson, 3 for 5 with a home run, couple of RBIs. Manny Machado had a base hit in this game, a double, RBI, and a run scored. Gavin Sheets had a single in this game and a walk. So all in all, 5 hits for the 3, 4, 5 spots, a double, a home run, 3 RBIs, productive. Good job on the heart of the order. That had not been the case early in this series, but much better today out of the middle spots in the order. Tatis had a good day as well, 3 hits. I know the lack of power is something that you can't get over, but Fernando's hitting 284. I mean, he keeps trending in the right direction. All of a sudden, he could be at 290. It just goes to show you by batting average, it's really been a fine year. It's just the lack of power, the lack of slug. But he had a double today, which was good to see. Drove in a couple of runs, 3 hits for Fernando. And Look, I think the overall picture of the offense, what you're trying to take away right now, or hopefully take away, is that the upward trajectory, some of the signs you were seeing against the Reds and against the Orioles, that was indicative of where this offense hopefully is headed. And today is more indicative of where this offense hopefully is headed, rather than the two games to begin this series being, kind of the norm, and the other games, the outlier. You're hoping that the two games to begin this series, those were the outliers. So, look, we're going to find out in time. I don't have to, hammer home the overall offensive numbers. I know are not very good, but you do hope that what they've done for the most part in the last three series, aside from the two games in St. Louis to begin the series, you hope that that's a sign of this offense coming around a little bit and heading in the right direction. Certainly today it looked more like what we saw against the Reds and the Orioles, and not so much what we saw in the first two games of this series. We shall see. I think offensively, we're judging this thing on sort of a game-to-game basis right now. That's the way it's been. It's been hot and cold. It's been long stretches of cold, unfortunately. So hopefully 14 hits tying a season high can put this team back on the right path offensively. All right, phone number to call, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. If you want to get involved as the Padres win it 6-1 to take this series finale in St. Louis. Let's go to the phones. We begin today on the post-game coverage with Steve calling in from Poway. Hi, Steve.
Hey, how you doing today?
Doing well.
All right. So my comment is really about Ty France, and obviously he's been scuffling of late.
Yeah.
And today, watching him in two Grand Slam high leverage moments, kind of not meet the moment. And obviously he's a Gold Glove first baseman. What do you think of the long-term viability of him as a Padre, after this season? Do you think he's going to be like how we love Jake Cronenworth's great defense, but his offense was always a little bit iffy the last few years?
Yeah, Steve, I think it's probably a little early, and appreciate the phone call. I think it's probably a little early to wonder about Ty France's more long-term future as a Padre. I mean, he signed on a minor league deal. Makes the team. He's been very, very valuable to this team the first 3 months of the season, no doubt about it. He's scuffling right now. I mean, it's as bad as he's scuffled, I think, so far as a Padre. I'll update you on his numbers. He was in our Who's Hot, Who's Not today, including today. Ty, just to give you an idea, in the month of June is only 5 for 38. So what's that? 5 for 38 is an average now in June of 131, 132. So, yeah, it's been a rough month, but before this most recent stretch, he had been really, really valuable. And, Steve, you're right. His defense has been great, and his offense has also been really, really good. He's been extremely valuable to this team. I mean, he's forced his way into the lineup pretty much every day. So, look, the long-term future with Ty as a Padre, who knows? I do think right now, because of their offensive issues, yeah, it's important that Ty gets it going offensively again. I mean, that's the reality of their situation right now. As long as, and today notwithstanding, where guys were productive, but as long as you continue to see the struggles, overall of guys like Manny and Merrill, and Tatis, the lack of power, and Xander, look, you are going to need these other guys to keep on doing what they've been doing. And France is going through a little bit of a rough stretch, but you know what? Most guys do at some point in the season. But look, Ty does bring a lot. We've seen him play first base. He is somebody who can play some different positions. He's somebody who has power. I think he plays really hard. I think Ty is a valuable piece on a good team. As we're seeing this year, I think he can be a very valuable piece on a good team. I think the Cronenworth comparison is not really an apt one, just because just by the contract, like, it's a totally different thing. I get what you're saying as far as the defense versus offense and things like that. But look, Ty is, forget about like what he could be beyond this year for this team. Ty this year has been a really, really big part of this group, and deservedly has got more and more playing time. Deservedly has got a lot of praise because of what he's done both offensively and defensively. And I do think it's going to be important for this team that the Ty Francis and Gavin Sheets and really anybody else that's not a big contract guy on this team, they're going to need these guys to continue to play well because offensively, it's been proven out through the first 2.5, 3 months of the year. They need it. They need it. The offensive numbers overall are where they are, despite you getting some really great performances from guys like Ty France, a prime example of it. So he's been really good. I wouldn't worry too much about the long-term future yet. I think right now you're just hoping that the scuffle here in June is not an indicator of the rest of his season, and hopefully just a scuffle. And Ty's an important part of this team, no doubt about it. Let's step aside. When we come back, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. If you want to squeeze another phone call in, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973, phone number to call. We'll have our play of the game. Get you ready for the series coming up in Texas as the Padres win it 6-1 against the St. Louis Cardinals on this Wednesday. Our post-game coverage continues after this. Here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. As always, our post-game coverage is brought to you by Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. We'll have our play of the game coming up in a moment. We'll also preview this upcoming series against the Texas Rangers beginning on Friday in Arlington as the Padres continue this 9-game road trip, finishing up with that 3-game series against the Rangers. And look, as I said, today felt like a big game. It did. And I know maybe that sounds a little crazy to say about a Wednesday afternoon matinee in St. Louis in the middle of June. But I do think because of how poorly the first 2 games went, you kind of felt like, hey, you need to find a way in the middle portion of this road trip to get this thing turned around a little bit, because you don't win today's game, then I think you're sitting at a 2-4 trip. You've still got another series on the road, and now in order to make it a winning road trip, you would have to go to Texas and sweep them, and that's hard against any team in baseball. So felt like today you wanted to win this series. It was, or I should say, salvage a game in this series. You're facing a guy in Kyle Leahy who we said at pregame, this is a guy you should be able to score some runs against. Then it's not like the Padres, beat him up. They got 3 runs against him in 6 innings, but what did they do? They took an early lead. They tacked on. They did a little damage. The pitching was good enough to make it hold. Between Rodriguez opening and Canning being good today, 4 innings in the third, 1 run given up. The bullpen predictably good today. They made it stand up. And for the first time in a couple of days, they played from ahead and, did the things you need to do to win a ball game. So overall, really good day for the Padres. Felt like a much needed win. Now, the series in Arlington, I think, is again a really big one. And I think it's because right now, if you're the Padres, you are trying to bank some wins. And it doesn't mean that I'm trying to be all doom and gloom about the upcoming schedule, but there's no way around it. The schedule gets hard after this series in Arlington. You've got the Braves for 3 at home. You've got the Dodgers for 3 at home. You've got a Cubs team that has scuffled quite a bit the last month or so, but they're a quality team on the road at Wrigley. You've got 4 against the Dodgers in LA. You've got 4 against the Diamondbacks in San Diego. D-backs are a solid team. You've got 3 against the Blue Jays, who, again, have not had a great start. But that's a team that I think a lot of people think are going to figure it out by season's end and came a win away from winning a World Series title last year. That is the schedule before the All-Star break. After the series in Arlington. I mean, again, I'm not trying to put too much pressure on a 3-game series in Texas in June, but it's Braves for 3, Dodgers for 3, Cubs for 3, Dodgers for 4, D-backs for 4, Blue Jays for 3. In my mind, there is not a quote-unquote easy series the rest of the way until the All-Star break. So it brings me to 2 points. Number one, this is a series against the Texas Rangers, a team that has not had a great start to the year. They've got talent. I don't think it would surprise anybody if they find a way to be a wild card team. Who knows? Maybe even win the AL West, because that division is not great overall with the way, the A's have been pretty good. Astros have got off to a slow start. Mariners got off to a slow start. They've played better. I'm not saying the Rangers are a bad team, but it's a team that's under 500 right now. And that's a series that you feel like you should be able to go in and take care of, win it. You'll have a winning road trip if you do that. And it also helps you bank, a couple of wins at least as you now head into a really, really hard part of the schedule. So feels to me like this is kind of a big series from a Padres standpoint in Arlington coming up. An opportunity to win a series, an opportunity to kind of take care of business, an opportunity to have a winning road trip, and an opportunity to have a little momentum heading into this tough stretch of the schedule. It's not an easy stretch coming up. Doesn't mean the Padres can't go win a whole lot of games. I think they will have to play better than they have the last month or so in order to do that. They're going to need some offense to do that. But this is a series against the Rangers that I think you want to go in and you want to take 2 out of 3, at least. I do. Not that your season depends on it by any means, but I do. I think it's a nice opportunity to create a little momentum, and now with the position you're in, 3-3 on this road trip, to create a winning road trip. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, tell you what's going on around the major leagues on this Wednesday.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We have already a number of finals today. The Mets salvaged their series finale against the Reds in Cincinnati. Mets 9, the Reds 1 in that one in Cincy. Royals beat the Nationals in D.C. 6-2. The Marlins beat up on the Phillies today 12-4 in Philadelphia. Astros bested the Tigers 4-2 in Houston. The Dodgers beat the Rays in that series finale between a couple of teams with good records there in the Dodgers and the Rays. Dodgers won it 5-4. Freddie Freeman, a 2-run home run in the 6th inning to put LA ahead, and they go on to win by a run. Games going on right now, one of them. D-backs beating the Angels 8-1 in Arizona in the 8th inning. I lied. We did have one other final. That was the resumption of the suspended game from yesterday. Giants beating the Braves in that resumed game 7-2. They'll play the second game of sort of like a doubleheader, regularly scheduled game at 4:15 in Atlanta coming up in a little while. Other games coming up, Blue Jays and the Red Sox at 3:45 at Fenway. We have the White Sox and the Yankees at 4:05 in New York, the Guardians and the Brewers in Milwaukee at 4:40, Rockies and the Cubs at Wrigley at 5:05, Orioles and the Mariners in Seattle at 6:40, Pirates and the A's in Sacramento at 6:40. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Wednesday. Final score once again, the Padres 6 and the Cardinals 1. Padres were in command from the early innings, a run in the first inning, a run in the fourth, a run in the fifth inning. But keep in mind, it still was just the 3-1 game going to the ninth inning. So some of the insurance runs, well, that was a big part of our play of the game.
One bounce, one hit, one pitch can be the difference between victory and defeat. What was the most important play in today's game? This is today's Play of the Game. Presented by Phil Howe Plumbing, Heating and Air, Restoration and Flood. We know how.
1-2. Merrill swings, hits it in the air, deep down the right field line, trying to keep it fair towards the pole. This one, gonna go! 2-run homer, Jackson Merrill. First home run of this series from anybody. And a 2-run exclamation point for Merrill here in the ninth inning. The Padre lead is 6-1.
Jackson Merrill, our play of the game, really the swing that you felt like the game was put out of reach. Merrill 2-run home run. In fact, the Cardinals challenged it, and the call did stand. It was hard to tell in the replay if it went on the left side of the pole or the right side of the pole, but I thought it was the right call that it stood because I thought it was too hard to tell. In fact, and I still don't really know looking at it, but it was called fair on the field. Call stood. 8th home run of the season for Jackson Merrill. Made it a 6-1 game, and the Padres getting a little bit of pop. In fact, the only home run that was hit in this series, the 3 games in St. Louis. So for all those reasons, the Merrill home run, our play of today's game. All right, looking ahead to the series coming up in Arlington against the Rangers beginning on Friday. Remember, the Padres are off tomorrow. First pitch on Friday at 5:05 p.m. in Arlington, Texas. Game 1 of a 3-game series. Our pregame coverage will begin at 4:05. Listed to be Randy Vasquez on the mound for the Padres on Friday, Walker Buehler on Saturday, and then on Sunday, right now it is TBD for the Padres, but it will be Randy Vasquez on the mound for the Padres on Friday against the Rangers, with again first pitch at 5:05. As always, if you missed any portion of our post-game coverage, you can go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcasts. You can also go back on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel and watch any portion of our post-game coverage in video form there as well. Taking a look at the final totals here today for the Padres. 6 runs on a 14-hit performance today, tied a season high. No errors. They left 10 on base. Cardinals, 1 run, 6 hits, 1 error. They left 6 on base. Winning pitcher today, Griffin Canning, who improves to 1-5, picks up his first win as a San Diego Padre this afternoon. And it was Kyle Leahy who drops to a record of 5-4. Time of game, 2 hours and 52 minutes in the crowd at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, Missouri. You know what? Before we go here, I do need to remind you, before I get to the attendance, I'm going to have a little cliffhanger for you. I do got to remind you that our post-game coverage, as always, is brought to you by Jamul Casino Resort. Hey, player, the rooftop pool's open, day passes are available, and the spa is calling your name. Jamul Casino Resort, the player's place. We had to tell you about the great Jamul Casino Resort one more time. All right, back to the attendance. Busch Stadium, St. Louis, Missouri on this Wednesday, 29,859. Once again, first pitch on Friday in Texas at 5:05 p.m. here on the West Coast. Pre-game coverage begins at 4:05. Until then, for our fantastic studio coordinator, Kyle Ovenshire, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long from inside our San Diego studios. Final score today, the San Diego Padres 6 and the St. Louis Cardinals 1. Today's edition of Gwynn and Chris coming up next. We'll talk to you on Friday on the Padres Radio Network.